In this tutorial, I will show you how I made this Dogman Comics influenced cake for my son's birthday. You can make any character cake using same technique. Here I had a 6-inch round cake that I rounded up on the top. For majority of my cakes I use my chocolate cake, and you can find the recipe for it in the description box below. Before adding first layer of buttercream, I actually carved the place where the character's mouth will be. I haven't had actual template of a character I am making because I was trying to make the face of my son, which would look very much cartoonish and basic. If you haven't had a chance to read Dogman novels, you can Google them. It's really basic cartoonish novel, and it's very easy to make any character in these kind of ways. And now I cover all my cake in the first layer of buttercream, and I place the cake to chill in the fridge for around 20-30 minutes. The excess buttercream I scrape off using my flexible cake smoother. I ended up only covering my cake with this one layer of buttercream before I added the fondant on top. So here I'm rolling out my fondant to the thickness I need. Using a needle I poke all the air bubbles, and then I cover my cake with this piece of fondant. I go with my hands all around the cake, smoothing it out as even as I can. As well, I push in my fondant into the mouth area. I push the fondant firmly at the bottom of my cake before I cut it off using a knife. I usually do the first cut around the cake very rough, and I knead it and press it even more with my cake smoothers before I cut around the second time. Here I was using my flexible cake smoother to smooth out the surface of the cake. You can do the same using another piece of fondant and smooth it all around the cake. When I see air bubbles under the fondant, I usually poke them out at any time of covering my cake with fondant. I shape mouth area using my balling tools, and I try sort of press it in even more into the cake. And as well, using a bigger balling tool, I sort of open the mouth even more, as you can see here. I'm not really worried that at this moment my fondant is tearing here, because I'm going to cover this piece with the black fondant. And so here I added a little ball of fondant to make the nose, and out of the bigger ball of fondant I'm making 2 ears, as you can see here now. As you see here, I cut my big fondant ball in half, and then using a ball tool I made ear indentations, and then I'm trimming the ears and I'm attaching them to the cake using a little bit of water. Now, if your cake is a little bit bigger than mine, obviously the ears will be bigger, or maybe your character is having a small ears. So if the ears are bigger, you can use cocktail sticks or even spaghetti to keep them in place. Now, if you're making the cake for customer, make sure to warn them where you have cocktail sticks. So then I moved my cake on my board and I started attaching hair to my character. Again, very simple hairstyles. I just rolled out my fondant to the thickness I need, and I attached it with a little bit of water. Later on you will see that I will be giving a little bit of texture lines to create the hair sort of pattern. Here I am creating really simple eyes like in a Dog Man novel. I rolled out a little sausage of my brown fondant, the same that I was using for the hair, and cut it in half, and using a little bit of water I stick them on my cake. Then again I rolled out a little small sausage and I cut it to the length I need, and I created two eyebrows. I'm rolling out black fondant to create the mouth. I have big circle cutter that will help me to cut out the mouth shape much easier than if I would do it by hand. You can completely do it by hand as well. I use the same bowl tools to press in my black fondant into the place. If your fondant is not sticking on its own, you can use a little bit of water to attach it to the cake. Using a knife, I trim out the excess fondant from the mouth area. Next step was to make teeth, so I used white fondant for that. I rolled out a piece of fondant that was a little bit smaller than the actual teeth, and then I'm gonna put the actual teeth on top of this fondant piece. Though the cake is pretty simple, as you see here, it's lots of eyeballing and lots of customization regarding the proportions and the sizes of the details. And because it is a comic influence cake, there are no actual any guidelines towards the size and your vision and your creativity on how certain piece supposed to look like. Obviously, if you are recreating the real character out of the comic books, I highly recommend to have a picture of it or even the book in front of you. As I was making here my son, so I really had no guidelines. I was doing whatever I wanted. Once I was happy with the placement of the teeth, next I made some indentations to actually make few separate teeth. And then I'm going to roll out black fondant and place in those marks I just made. My son is wearing glasses, so I was using my extruder and a little bit of black fondant to make glasses for my character. I had few sizes of my round cookie cutters that I was measuring first on the cake to see which size fits better. So here I'm rolling out my fondant through the extruder and I'm going around the cookie cutter to the length I need. And then you see me here using actually a smaller circle cookie cutter because the first one was a little too big. Then I transferred my black piece of fondant onto the cake and I used the same cookie cutter to help me shape it around the eyes. When I was happy with the placement of my glasses, I used a little bit of water to attach them to the cake. Next, I attach eyebrows to the cake. And next, I'm attaching black fondant pieces to the indentations of the teeth I made before. And here the face is done. Next, I'm moving on to the body. So I'm rolling out a piece of reddish brownish fondant to make a body. I cut it at the top with the help of my large cookie cutter. And then I rolled out the same piece a little bit wider and longer. Here I'm using a sharp blade to create a sharp edge of my body. I attach the piece to the cake board using a little bit of water. Then I rolled out fondant into the sausage and I made 2 arms out of it. One arm was pretty simple and another was bent and sort of going close to the mouth area. Here you see me playing with it, looking which way I like it best. Next, I'm creating a very rough cartoonish hand and I am attaching it to the cake with the help of water and a cocktail stick. I will mention again, please inform your customers where are you leaving your cocktail sticks in. And the last thing that was left is to add in my writing on the t-shirt and on the cake board and place the ribbon around the cake board. And there you have it, your personal comic cake. Thank you for watching and subscribing to my channel.